Hello and welcome. I'm Sarah Melenik and we're booting back up with Mythwrecked. It's been a while and I'm back to do the lore read for you all. So, let's get started. We're gonna start with the Castaway Note. Okay. Let me take a little drink. Woe is me! I, brave explorer Richard E. Richards, am shipwrecked. I find myself surrounded by a splintering remnants of our Royal Navy ship. Her sturdy timber were bested by an unearthly temptress. None of her trusty crew remains. The story seems to have frayed my nerves, for I swear the island statues are speaking to me. Oh, how will I find a way back to my beloved Queen Victoria? Castaway Day 3. I have temporarily settled in what appears to be an old lighthouse, which seems cautiously welcoming. The shelves and plants pots suggest a finely planned living arrangement. There is even some beautiful detailed furniture. It all aligns with my taste so well, you may think someone has been waiting for me. This is, of course, completely nonsense, as there are certainly no living souls left on this island but for one Richard E. Richard. Day 3. The ruins on the island suggest previous habitation, but curiously, it's different points through human history. Most large structures adhere to classical Greek period, but I have also observed strangely modern elements. On a workbench, I spotted a glass bowl, a fragment of an experimental light bulb, which until this time I had not encountered in a laboratory. I wonder, could this be the very island I was charged with locating? Day 10. The inflexible state of this most verdant garden betrays a human touch and an artistic mind. I am now more convinced than ever these islands must be hiding something of astonishing archaeological value. Keeping a garden in such immaculate shape would certainly require tools. A nicely ornamented pair of antique shears would make for an interesting archaeological find. Of course, a fitting boon to present Her Majesty in my return. Day 13. I have made an exciting discovery. On the northern coast of the island, some kind of beacon. I admit that I am uncertain of its exact purpose, but it appears it resembles some manner of laboratory equipment. Upon approach the structure, I feel intensely dizzy. A distant vibration in the air. This marvel would surely bless me. Surely be of great interest to the scientists of the great of Great Britain. If only I could show them. Then I get day 11. The unbelievable occurred. A man introduced himself to me, claimed people have been living on this island the entire time. While he states his state of undress suggests he's not been introduced into society, his genuine manner of speaking would make him right at home in the London Gentlemen's Club. I'm sure that with this chap's help I will find a way back to the grace of Her Majesty in no time. This is probably day 21 instead of day 11. 21 and then 28. Sudden progress. For several weeks, passage across the lofty bridge was blocked by a pair of most eerie sentinels. They seemed to have resigned their commission. I could not get into the tower itself, but I heard noises suggesting it is indeed inhabited. When I tried to gain access, I felt someone brace themselves against the door. A gentleman does not break into another's living space, however, so I'd let whoever is inside be. Okay. Scooch. Okay, so this is what we just read. This says 19, but might be a different word. Today I have decided to abandon any notion of rescue. I have come to terms with the growing suspicion that I will spend the rest of my days here. And really, I could not have been shipwrecked on a more beautiful island than this, but for the first time, I have done nothing but watch fluffy clouds cross the sky, enjoying the sounds of nature, and savoring the island's ever-growing fruit. I feel such peace. Day 31. Apparently the islanders do not mean to let me go. There is much talk of ambrosia. I had to explain that while I am a patron of science, I am no doctor of medicine. It was when one dour chap started babbling about magic that I demanded my immediate return to Great Britain. Surely these people must see that it is against the law to hold a subject of Her Majesty against his will. I've yet to find a single jewel, chalice, or even fine fork I could add to Her Majesty's treasury. Do you mean to tell me that no one bothered to decorate this crypt and honor the dead? How barbaric! I shall not leave empty-handed. Shall not return to civilization a laughingstock. But what if I can never return at all? The prestigious line of riches cannot end here. That's all the castaway letters. Okay. So, they're all short like this, then that shouldn't be too hard to do. Let's pull a card for that. It is a queen card, so I will show you a piece of art. I'll show you actually what I most recently am working on. It's a concept art piece. It's not done yet, but you can get an idea. Frozen North Report. One of my owl emissaries has returned from the far north, but its frost-tipped wings, the region must have been wintry indeed. Once thoroughly thawed, they twittered tales of great mountains, strongholds called Asgard, whose halls are populated by beings who possess similar powers to our own. The owl speaks of Yggdrasil, the great world tree. I wonder if it is connected to our own Gaia tree, whose water granted us our godly power. Desert Mirage Report. An owl has returned with new findings far to the south, beyond the reaches of the great river Nile. They found a curious temple complex deep in the desert sand. Despite the arid surroundings, my spy poured a lush, leafy oasis with a sacred Ishta tree in its center. However, I fear the heat may have taken a toll on my feathery friend, as the report then referred to great pyramid structures, beings with heads of animals. Clearly nonsense. Mistfolk report. More divine beings, this time many leagues to the west. While exploring an emerald glade, my owl's keen ears heard faint sound of iris flutes drifting from some strange burial mounds the locals call, I am going to pronounce this wrong, I am sorry. Should he? Said he? They followed the ethereal music deep into the bowels of the earth, eventually merging into a mist-shrouded other world, home of supernatural beings called the, I'm again gonna say this wrong, I am sorry, Tota the Dynamo. I'm so sorry. I've never heard these words enough to pronounce them correctly. I'm sorry. This tribe of the gods is ruled over by a raven-haired phantom queen, the Morgana. Song of the Sea report. After scouting the great expanse of the Pacific Ocean, an owl has returned with an interesting report indeed. The many islands of the regions are home to intricately tattooed, seafaring people who sing sacred songs of Hawaii, a long-lost island paradise. Waikiki, long-lost island paradise from which their ancestors once set sail. On this island lived the, I'm sorry, I'm going to say this wrong, two divine shape-shifting gods of natural capacity of great deeds. Most infamous is the trickster demigod Maui, who exploits are famous throughout Polynesia. Spider's web. Whilst flying over the rich forest of the Western Africa, my owl visited a village of the Akon people to hear tales of their spirit gods. Chief amongst their number are Naomi, sorry if I pronounced it wrong, the omnipotent Skyfather, and I'm going to say this wrong, I'm so sorry, Asiya, or Godmother, Earth Mother. Perhaps the most intriguing, however, is the lesser deity named Kawaku Anansi. Kawaku Anansi, a trickster famous for transforming into a spider and weaving a web intricate of intrigue whose influence can be felt throughout the land. Isle of Apples. In the dark skies of Britain, my owl flew through magical tempest to reach Avalon. The mythical Isle of Apples exists in a curious flux. It's in the same spot as famed Glastonbury Tor, but on a different plane of existence entirely. Many mythical beings called it home, including a sorceress named Merlin, his Rylan, Morgan Le Fay, and a mortally wounded pagan king named Arthur, all presided over by their guardian Nemu, the so-called Lady of the Lake. This is when we get over. Celestial Court Report. Far to the east, my owl discovered what appeared to be more of our counterparts. Beyond the clouds, a magical silver bridge led to a heavenly place beyond the comparison. Within its walls reside a celestial court of gods beyond number, all presiding over by a supreme Jade Emperor, the divine ambassador to worship through the land of China. And it is said that humans who live, I am going to say this so wrong, I am so sorry, exemplary lives may cross the silver bridge to join its ranks. Feathered serpent. Far off, I am going to say this wrong, Mesoamerica, my owl discovered a city of towering ziggurats raising from the center of a great inland lake. Curious, the locals called it, I am going to pronounce that wrong, Tulakan, meaning the place where men can become gods. The region has been home to many overlapping civilizations, including Mayan, Aztec, and Toltec, to name a few. Their myths may vary somewhat, but certain figures remains central, like, I'm going to say this wrong, Tezcatlipoca, the mighty one-legged jaguar god, and Quetzalcoatl. If I'm wrong on saying that, I am sorry. That's how I learned how to say that specific name. Quetzalcoatl. If I'm saying it right, the only reason I remember and know how to say that name is being at a festival when I was in middle school. because we did a festival and each group had to do a different god or something. My group, one of their gods was Quetzalcoatl. His story. That's why that's why I have this pronunciation for me to say. Quetzalcoatl, the great feathered serpent. The Holy Mountain Report. Beyond the plains of northern India, my owl began their journey into the Himalayan mountains in search of Mount Kailash. The Holy Mountain is believed to be the gateway to the Devas, the divine beings worshipped by the Hindu people. On final search, its peak, my feathered friend found the palace of Lord Shiva and Princess Parthiva. They and their guests were guarded by their stewardess son, Ganesh, who has blessed with the head of an elephant. Okay, if I make mistakes on any of the names and stuff, I'm sorry. The only language I know is English. And that's because English is already hard enough to learn how to speak because I have dyslexia. Okay. And then we've got our myths. But let's take a moment to drink. And let's pull a card. Why not? It's an X, so I'll do some jumping jacks real quick for you guys. Okay. The gods, a protector of strangers myth. The gods developed a habit of disguising themselves as mortal to walk amongst the people of ancient Greece, and even visit them in their homes. Zeus, in particular, had a penchant for visiting his subjects, so they were not caught unaware. The common folk of the religion developed Xena, a code of hospitality which delectable deceptible how the ancient gods would treat their guests. From then on, even strangers were given a warm welcome, which pleased the gods greatly. Three brothers myth. Zeus, Hades, and Poseidon are indeed brothers, although you would be forgiven for mistaking them as otherwise. Zeus is bold, brave, and brash, as only the youngest brother may be. Poseidon has an unmatched love for the natural world, shunning mankind for the mysteries of the sea, and finally, Solely. Hades is the oldest brother who quietly bears the weight of life and death on his shoulders. Although starkly different, their brotherly bond will always unite them. Helpers and heroes. Of all the gods, none were wiser than Hephaestus and Athena. It was they who Zeus and Hera tasked with assisting brave mortals on their quests and adventures. The pair would craft many gifts of gifts for their human heroes, including the Aegis, a polished brass shield used by Perseus to avoid the deadly gaze of the Gorgon, Medusa. After a visit from the pair, the mastercraft Argo was inspired to build a magnificent ship for Jason. Oh. Fit for a queen. Myth. Hera always struggled to understand Hephaestus and his obsession with inventions. Frustrated, she ordered his exile to Lemnos, the isle of his birth. Annoyed by the disruption, Hephaestus crafted a magnificent throne which was sent to tribute to the queen. Hera was delayed, but when she took a seat, the booby-trapped throne snared her with unbreakable gold ropes. She was furious, but the trick made her appreciate his ingenious, and he was begrudgingly welcomed back. The unloved god. Of all the gods, Ares struggled most to capture the hearts of the ancient Greek. He saw himself as a hero, but they saw only a savage and bloodthirsty barbarian. This was a sore point for Ares, and the rest of the gods could not help but pity him, which only angered him further. Although scant cultivations some did hold him in high esteem. The warlike Amazons and Spartans both celebrated his sense of duty, discipline, and courage. And then we move this down. The next group. Opposites attract. Myth. Although the god of love, in the matter of her own heart, even Aphrodite's most bow to the whims of the fates. Many would not think grumpy Hephaestus would catch the eye of the radiant Aphrodite, yet he did. Even to his own bemusement, the odd couple lived happily together for many years. However, the life of gods is long, and eventually they parted as Hephaestus was unable to resist the lure of another mistress, his work. An unlikely friendship. Myth. Ares, the greatest of the warriors, met his match against two giants, Otus and Vetalis. I've never heard these names, so I don't know how to pronounce them. I'm sorry. Humbled in battle, he was wrapped in chains, cased in a bronze jar, and spirited away. Despite his rage, he could not escape. After 13 months, Ares was a shadow of his former self. It was Hermes who finally discovered his location and set him free. The nightmare had ended for Ares, and an unlikely friendship began that day. Contest of Gifts. Athena and Poseidon had a contest to see who would be named champion of Callicropia, the largest city of ancient Greece. Poseidon struck the ground, drawing forth a mighty spring. Athena, also much less showy, planted a humble olive tree in the dirt. Wise King Calcropsis chose Athena's boon, realizing the gift would grant them a bounty of olives, wood, and oil. Since that day, the city has carried the name Athena, Athens, in their honor. Oh, love and war myth. Over 100 years ago, countless battles over hundreds of years, countless blissful unions can be traced to the romantic acts of Aphrodite. However, her most faithful intervention would throw the whole of ancient Greece, and indeed her fellow gods, into turmoil. By her hands, the Spartan queen Helle fell in love with Paris, a young Trojan prince. Her husband, a Spartan king, I can't pronounce his name, called upon all of Greece to wage war upon Troy in a bloody war that would last a decade. And love lost. Athena had a lovely childhood till they met the friend they cherished above all. Her name was Pelassus, and she was a match for Athena in both cunning and wit. The two were inseparable, a long lifetime of curiosity and learning awaited the pair until tragedy struck. One fateful day, Pelassus died, her young life cut short by a quirk of fate. Grief-stricken, Athena vowed another would never take the place of the one true friend. Okay. One last group. Ah. Queen's Justice myth. In the early days, ancient Greece was a savage place dominated by brutes. Women were often only deemed worthy of wooing, weaving, and childbirth. Thus, however, all changed. This, however, all changed when Hera and the rise of her cult. In her, women now had a fierce protector with a temper that would even make her husband Zeus tremble. The cult of Hera grew to have sanctuaries in all corners of ancient Greece, with its center of power in Argos. Brains versus brawn myth. The contrast between Athena and Ares could not be more stark. The former, known for their meticulous tactics and diplomacy, the latter his fierce rage and love of battle. During the Trojan War, Ares took the side of the Trojans, while Athena sided with the Greeks. It would be a battle of soldiers versus strategists. Even hundreds of years after the battle, the rivalry still simmers. Leader of Souls myth. Hermes was the baby of the pantheon, and all the gods doted on him. He developed a taste for jokes and pranks. His mischievous grew until He overstepped, hiding an entire herd of God's sacred cows. He clearly needed to be taught a lesson in order to assist Hades, guiding the souls of the dead to the underworld. He remained fond of jokes, but never did manage to make Hades smile. Let the games begin. Myth. In order to honor the gods, the people of ancient Greece decided to host a special event. A trace was declared cross. In order to honor the gods, the people of ancient Greece decided to host a special event. A truce was declared across the entire region, and each city-state sent their best athletes to Olympia to compete. The event ranged from wrestling to javelin. The winners were crowned with wreaths of olive leaves. The gods were delighted to have inspired such an event, and they would subsequently held every 4 years in a tradition that would continue to this very day. Poseidon was the rise of Politus. I am sorry, I don't think I ever got that and figured out how to pronounce the name. Poseidon was the protector of the ocean, all its inhabitants, from the smallest fish to the mightiest creature that dwelt in its hidden depths. At times of great conflicts, he asked to send great titans of the sea to carry out the wills of the gods, whether he agreed with it or not. Mortals grew to fear Poseidon and the wrath of his sea demons. But to him they were not monsters, but marvels of nature. Okay. So we did all that. I don't understand why it's like, oh yeah, you haven't gotten everything. And it's just like, we did everything. We already did everything. What do you mean we haven't done everything? We bought everything. We gave all the mementos. We pulled everything down. Got all the decor and everything. I don't know. Maybe they just want me to do it again and then I'll go through. I don't know. But I'll probably do that off screen. Thank you guys. Honestly, I know I could we could see any other society don't know what is going on.
Okay.
Maybe hopefully that will be okay. I'm not actually going to another thing to listen to the music right now. So, for now,